Last year in 2019, the 76ers were touted as a true championship contender in the Eastern Conference with the emergence of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid after all these years of the trust process rebuilding phase. And also these mid-season trades they acquired. Tobias Harris from the Clips, who was back then putting up 20 points per game at 50-40-90 splits, and Jimmy Butler from the Timberwolves, who was also back then still was an all-star but also a toxic player across the locker room. After they acquired these players to pair up with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, they look serious. Personally, I feel like them and the Celtics were the only team that could potentially beat the KD Warriors in the finals, as they were so close to an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, and I believe that the 76ers would have beaten the Bucks because they have more talent and more star power than the Giannis-led Bucks and make it to the finals since 2001. But that will not happen again, as Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick will leave in the offseason, and that gave the 76ers the cap base to sign 4 of their players' max deals, including the questionable max signing of Al Horford, who is going to his age 33 season, and signed Josh Richardson, who is supposed to provide them elite level spacing all across the floor and defense. But despite all of that, the 76ers were in the prime position to win a championship with the expectations of Ben Simmons finally having a jump shot to his arsenal. That will not happen again, as Ben Simmons will still be almost the same guy that he was 2 years prior, because one, his defense has improved significantly to the point that he was a top 3 defensive player of the year candidate, and 2, he has been more aggressive to his finishes, but still his ass is still not shooting threes despite being much better and arguably the best player on his team, because Embiid has taken a step back in his game in the regular season. In the playoffs, he was a dog. Not only that, majority of these players has either not lived up to contract expectations or straight up underperforming. Al Horford, for example. But after that, the NBA were suspended due to COVID-19, and during the time of the bubble, Ben Simmons will endure a knee injury that will keep him for the entirety of the season, which led to the 76ers getting swept by Jason Tatum and the Celtics by the second time. So what should they do in the offseason? They already fired Brett Brown, and Elton Brand is not looking towards trading both Embiid and Simmons. So what is next for the Philadelphia 76ers going forward? Because this is the biggest question we have in our minds. Hey man, this is the A-Man Show, back at it again for more content. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel for more NBA and NFL content, and also click on the notification bell on the right so that way y'all stay tuned to my videos. Anyways, let's get it.
I pay my dues, now I'm a made man. I call my fame, now I'm a made man. You never see me again. I got the juice, now I'm a made man.
So I talked about the 76ers and how they have been one of the most disappointing teams in the NBA, and the fact that they not only lost in the first round but got swept in the first round by the Celtics. Now I know that the Celtics are loaded with talent all across the floor, and I do think that the Celtics are a championship favorite. Joel Embiid did what he can in the entire series, averaging 30 points, 12 rebounds on 46% shooting, but the entire team can't shoot for shit, so they getting their asses cooked by Jason Tatum. But Embiid was also the part of the problem because he's taking threes. Now I know that his team has been breaking a lot of threes, but that doesn't mean that Joel Embiid should be taking 4 3-pointers per game in that series. The 76ers had a losing record of 4-6 when Embiid was taking jump shots. Yes, the team has struggled to make 3-pointers, but that doesn't mean that you should take more 3-pointers on some hero type shit. That's the reason why they got swept in this series. Now let's discuss about the future of the Sixers. The Sixers as a whole has ruined their future because all the big ass max contract signings I mentioned in the prelude of my video, signing Al Horford, signing Tobias Harris, and obviously Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. These signings have significantly ran out of the cap, and due to that, they can't sign players who can fit well with Simmons and Embiid. Well, they did that with Josh Richardson, but he has been underwhelming, and their biz is limited of good role players. And not only that, let's talk about the draft selection, shall we? Aside from these two cats, they accepted to trade their 3rd overall pick to the Celtics in order to get the 1st overall pick in 2017, which they selected Markelle Fultz, who was poised to become a next James Harden type player in the NBA. Unfortunately, his broken jump shot and his shoulder injury led him to being traded to the Orlando Magic last year because he simply could not stay healthy, and even when he was healthy, healthy, his jump shots were still dead broke. The way that this draft lesson has transpired to this day has been very baffling, as the guy 2 spots after Fultz was Jason Tatum, who's arguably a top 12 player in the NBA, and yes, I'm putting him higher than Embiid because he simply fucked up his team single-handedly. Talk about the Tobias Harris trade. They made the right move to trade Landry Shamet, Wilson Chandler, Mike Muscala, and first-round picks that are top 14 protected through this upcoming draft class in the following next 2 seasons, and a couple of second-round picks to get him. He was putting up all-star numbers back in LA, but once he got here in Philly, his production has regressed. Well, because he struggles to make three-pointers. Plus, he has been very underwhelming in last year's playoffs, where he averaged 15 points but shot 42% from the field and 35% from 3. Despite all his shooting roles since he got to Philly, the Sixers still decided to give this man a max contract. Don't get me wrong, he's an above average player in this league, a French all-star, but come on man, he does not deserve a max contract, especially Al Horford. And I know I've been on his ass a whole lot, but this man is simply old. He's about to turn 34 next year. He gone worse on offense, and his three-pointer does not add up for more success for the Sixers, and plus his defense is simply not what it used to be. There were only 6 games of which he didn't start, which he belonged, by the way, because him in the starting lineup only going to get more cluttered down on the post with Embiid and Simmons. Even with the Celtics, although he has been one of the best defenders in his position, that doesn't mean that you give this man a max contract worth $109 million like Al Horford. Really? This man has been an above average player all throughout his career, but even that, he never even deserved a max contract when he was in his prime of his career. And then we get Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Elton Brand considered to not trade one of his stars because he wants to quote-unquote compliment both of them. Well, you haven't done a good job on that, mister, because the signings of Josh Richardson and all them guys, they never even complimented Simmons and Embiid well. And even for the both of them, they don't even mesh too well together. So therefore, you need to trade either Embiid or Simmons. He needs to do that because that's what the Sixers need to do. Trade either Simmons or Embiid, because both can shoot, so they clog up the paint, in which leads Embiid taking unnecessary three-pointers where his scoring should be 80% to 90% down the post. Well, because Ben Simmons does not want to shoot threes, but I still think that he's a better player than Joel Embiid. And let me say this to Joel Embiid. This guy is not going to be an NBA legend. I'm just saying it flat out. He's never played over 70 games because he stayed getting injured, and when he has played, he wasn't the same dominant guy that he was last year, especially on defense. Don't get me wrong. Embiid is still one of the top centers in the game, but in the direction that he is going, and plus he's turning 27 next year, we're supposed to see Embiid continue to be that dominant, unstoppable force that he has played in his 5th year in the league. But that did not happen because 1, he didn't really improve his game, especially from 3, and a matter of fact that he has regressed, and 2, he gets injured a whole lot. And not even that, I really don't trust him as a first option on this team because in all the big moments in the playoffs, he did not step up. And I don't care that he averaged 30 points in this series. It is meaningless because he got swept. And when he got full squad with him in 2019 with Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and JJ Redick on the floor with him in the 2019 playoffs, he has underperformed. He averaged only 20 points, but on 43% shooting from the field and 31% from 3. So yes, Joel Embiid has been a disappointment. And if you don't want to watch more of why Joel Embiid has been a disappointment, then click on the link on the top right corner if y'all want to check it out. So the Sixers wanted to compliment Simmons and Embiid, even though they played with each other for the past 3 seasons and they still cannot mesh well together. If Ben Simmons did have somewhat of a jump shot, then Joel Embiid should have been so much better as a player because he can prioritize his scoring in the post. And not only him, but so many players in his team, because more spacing equals more opportunity to operate. But that's not the case. If I were the Sixers, I would say that you consider trading Joel Embiid and build a championship contender around Ben Simmons because he is 24. He is still young and has room to grow. And for right now, his jump shot is still non-existent. So the Sixers should find shooters and not only shooters shooter, but a player who is star caliber and can space the floor, so that way Ben Simmons can have fun finishing to the rim with ease. And for Embiid, what team he's going to be traded to, that's another discussion for another day, because there are definitely so many teams in the championship pedigree who are desperate to find a center like Embiid, because I know that guy wants to leave Philly because he hasn't been happy since Jimmy Butler left in free agency. But after all of that, guys, the Sixers are in a very shaky position right now. I better see some moves made during this short offseason, because keeping this roster, I don't care what y'all think, they are not good enough to compete for a championship, because look at the teams in the East. The East are getting stronger. You have the Celtics, Miami Heat, the Bucks if they still have Giannis, and most importantly, look at the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are getting KD and Kyrie back, and y'all know the drill. They're going to be a serious championship contender next season. So keeping this roster is not worth it, because these teams have players that have proven they can elevate their games to the next level, unlike the Philadelphia 76ers. Thank you for watching my video. If y'all love this video, please give a like and subscribe to my channel for more NBA and NFL content in the future, and also click on the notification bell so that way y'all stay tuned to my videos. Anyways guys, this is the A-Man Show signing out.